In this video, we're going to show you how to install the exterior door handle bracket on your Ford Focus located inside the door panel. Now I want to go ahead and remove our door panel here. We're going to start by coming out to the outer edge. There's a little cap right here. We're going to use our pocket screwdriver. Open up that little window there and use our Phillips head screwdriver to loosen and remove the screw in here. Once we get this one out, there's going to be 3 more running across the bottom of the door panel. Let's go ahead and tackle those. Now on the top of the door panel, right behind our door release here, is a plastic cover. We need to pop that cover off. My choice of tool is a pocket flathead screwdriver. You're going to pull this out and go right on the back side and just pry it out. This just has some little tabs on here that lock it into place. So go ahead and set that aside. Now on the top here, we have the power mirror cover or the sail panel interior trim. I'm going to use my plastic trim tool to go ahead and get right behind the edge here, kind of wedge it in there and gently pry it out. Now there are little metal tabs or lock tabs on the back side here that just kind of lock into the door shell. Now we can leave this as is, or if you want to go ahead and separate the power mirror switch, there's just a little pinch tab on the bottom side. You're going to pinch that and pull that harness off. Now if your vehicle does not have power mirrors, then you won't have this. You just can have a separate panel. Go ahead and set that aside. Right in the door pull area where your power window switches are, this panel needs to pop up. I'm going to use a plastic trim tool. Go right in here, press down and lift up. Now when you lift this up, you have to pull it back and you're going to dislodge the mounting tab here that goes into the door panel. Now you want to go ahead and pop this switch panel off. It's a harness on the back side. Push in on the gray button, wiggle that connector off. You can set this down, but we will have to reinstall this afterwards without the door panel on to go ahead and get our window regulator into position. Now there are 2 T30 Torx Bit screws. There's one right up top here, and there's one right behind where we removed that lower switch panel. I'm going to use my T30 Torx Bit on my extension and my 1/4" ratchet. You want to go loosen and remove these. Let's go remove the lower one next. Now right here, I want to go ahead and remove this cover. We're going to use our trim tool. Going right through the top here and pop this off. Now right inside here, we're going to have a couple screws we need to go ahead, loosen and remove. Now the 2 screws on the inside are T30 Torx Bit screws. Loosen and remove these. All right, we have both of the screws loose. Now what we want to do is we're going to come to the lower portion of the door and we're going to grab the lower pocket area here and just gently tug outward, separating the plastic push pins around the perimeter. Now these screws may pop out, so just watch for those there. And work your way around the perimeter. Now at this point here, we can take that door panel and we're going to lift it up. Now on the inside here, we have a power door lock switch, and we need to separate that connector. There's a little pinch tab right here at the base, right where those wires go in. So So you want to go ahead and pinch that and pull that connector off. Now over here we have our door pull with the cable set up. So we're going to go ahead and remove the cable unit from the door panel and then pull the barrel end out of the handle itself. So this here pops right inside that barrel. And that comes around and snaps in. So when this comes out, pop that barrel end out, remove the door panel. Now here we have a water shield, and this helps protect the internal parts of the door. Now there is a self-healing adhesive around the perimeter, and you want to try and salvage it. You don't want to tear the plastic. So you can start to peel this down. Ours was already peeling a little bit, but it is kind of tacky. I like to use a razor blade and gently cut the adhesive and not the plastic. Now with that out of the way, we can go ahead and start to access our components inside the door. Now we need to install our power window switch. If your glass is all the way down, we need to install this here, raise it all the way up. Let's go ahead and put the key in the ignition, and we're going to go ahead and raise this up. Now right here is a plastic plug. We're going to use our pocket screwdriver to get underneath the edge of it here and just pry that up and out. Set that aside. Now we're going to come through the outside of the door shell here, and we're going to use our T20 Torx Bit on our extension on our 1/4" ratchet. Right here, I'm going to loosen this screw. Now with that screw loose on the inside, we're going to come to the outside, pull out on our door handle, and then we can simply remove our button here. The screw is still there. Now in order to remove this here, we're going to pull towards the back and then lift up and out. Now what we're doing here is just going to continue this process all the way around until we can get the entire water shield pulled off of the vehicle. All right, so at this point here, our water shield is ready to come off. However, last step we got to do before we pop that off is remove our door speaker. To remove our speaker, there are 4 screws here holding it. These are number 6 millimeter. Loosen and remove these. There's a little pinch tab. We need to press that and pull the connector off. Now that we have the connector removed from our speaker, we're going to use our trim tool. Follow this harness up here, and there is a plastic retainer that goes into the door through the water shield. Ideally, you want to go ahead and pop this out. There it is. And then we can go ahead and pull our water shield off and set it aside. At this point here, I'm going to take my window switch, click it on, and I'm going to put the key in the ignition here. And what we're going to do is we need to position the window regulator to where we can loosen the clamps on the glass. Now what we're looking for here is the bolts that hold the clamps secure to the glass on the regulator. There's going to be one accessible right here, and then over to the right, there's going to be one accessible through this window right here. It's just above where the rubber grommet is, and you're going to put your socket and extension in there to the 10 millimeter bolt. Let's go ahead and get to it. Let's go ahead and loosen this. I'm going to do the same to the one on the right. All right, so at this point here, our clamps are loose on the glass. We're going to go ahead and raise this up. Now what we want to do is work that glass up and out. Now with the glass removed, this is the main reason why we had to remove the glass. We needed to access this T20 Torx screw. What we're going to do is we're actually going to loosen that quite a bit. Now on the outside of the door panel, now that we've removed that screw from the inside, is we have to go ahead and remove this plastic little white square. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach on the inside of the door panel and grab the bracket that's in there. You can see that moving around. I need to pull that bracket inward and grab this, slide it out and over. So I had to pull it out of that notch right there. And that's where that screw goes. So set that aside. I want to go ahead and separate our cable from our door shell. I'm going to use a pocket screwdriver, come into the top here and gently pry this open. And we want to work our cable out. Now on the outside of the door shell here, we have 3 T25 Torx Bit screws that holds the latch mechanism in place. We need to go ahead and loosen and remove this. On the inside of the door shell, we have our electrical connector right here. I'm going to go ahead and separate that. I'm going to pinch on the tab there. I want to separate that. There we go. Now what we're going to do is pull this unit in, disconnecting the lock cylinder from up top. It's just going to pop out of the door. I want to separate this door lock rod right here. Going to use our pocket screwdriver. Just open this up and slide this rod out. There we go. Now at this point here, we just need to go ahead and maneuver this whole unit out of the door. Now we have our whole mechanism here on the cart. And we need to separate this from our back bracket here. I'm going to start by pivoting this pin out. Just kind of pops right out, nice and easy. Let that just twist it off. I'm going to use my flat screwdriver. And there's a little lock tab on the back side here. You can use a pair of pliers, but I found that my flathead screwdriver fits in there perfect. And we just need to release this from this bracket. There it is, like so. It's a little bit of a process to this here, and you want to pay attention to how it comes apart so it's not as complicated going back together. Now, next thing we need to do is we need to disconnect our 2 rods, but we're going to start with this one here that goes to the back of the lock cylinder. So we're going to twist this up, and we need to pull this hook out, like so. Now we want to go ahead and separate this one here. I'm going to take this and just gently kind of rock this through. And work that hook out of that rubber. Now we want to go ahead and swap this over. So you can gently pinch these tabs and work this through. You might be able to use your pocket screwdriver. Here it is. I'm going to take this here and swap it over to the new one. And take this, feed it in. And then just gently twist that through. Now what might also work here, spraying it down with a little bit of silicone or some spray solvent. pops right in just like that. Get this lined up. Gonna get our hook lined up here. Okay. Now on the old unit, we do have to swap over this screw right here. We also need to swap over our lock mechanism. We're going to go ahead and use our T20. So we do need to drop that through here. On the back side of our lock unit right here, use our pocket screwdriver. Get up underneath here. Now right where we had removed that screw, there's going to be a tiny little button right here, if you want to call it a button, little lock tab. I'm going to use my pocket screwdriver. If you grab that and pull it away, you can see it, literally the lock cylinder just dropped out. If I don't hold that, it releases that lock cylinder. Now I want to pay attention on how that comes out. We want to drop that in exactly the same way. Before I swap this over, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. Release that lock again. Pull this out. And we're going to drop it right into the other one. You can hear it lock right into place. Just going to flip this over. Now at this point, we have our lock cylinder installed, our two rods. And let's now go ahead and connect the support bracket to the other bracket mechanism here. And how we're going to do that is we need to flip this over. Let's get this upper tab in. Okay, and flip this back over. Now take note that we have our Torx bit screw here for the handle. I'm going to go ahead and push that in. It's the same way that we've removed it, so we're just going to put it back the same way. And our unit's ready to install into the vehicle. So now that we got our Torx bit screw over here, we're going to come over here to the outer end, and we need to remove this Phillips head screw. Now we're going to be reusing this here. But what we're doing is when we release or remove this, on the other side is the lock tab right here. And we removed this from the old one. So we're going to pull that out for now. I'm just going to put my screw in it just a little bit for now until we get this assembly in the door. Then we'll go ahead and get this lock tab installed. So as I get this up in a position, the lock cylinder keyhole, I'm going to actually hang on the outside of the door shell, and this will kind of hold it in place a little bit. Now at this point here, we have our unit in place and we have our latch mechanism lined up over here. Let's go ahead and install the 3 screws to hold the latch mechanism. There we go. Once you get one of those in, it's pretty easy to grab the other 2. Now this is non-adjustable, there's no slots anywhere. So once you get all three of these in, you can go ahead and tighten them down. Once those bottom out, go ahead and make them nice and tight. All right, that's bottomed out there. Come back to that first one, just double check that. Now on the outside here, we have to put our little lock button. So I'm going to reach up in here, adjust this. Now this is keyed, so it can only go in one way. Fits into the handle unit. Then you're going to slide this over and in, and then push the handle up into it. We're going to put the screw on the back side now. Now the original part had a Torx bit screw. The replacement is just a Phillips head. All right, snug that down. Let's go ahead and install our rod here. Just push that in. And then down here we have our electrical connector. Simple. We're just going to line that up with the unit itself, push that on. We can hear and feel that lock in. And then we have our cable here. Let's go ahead and snap that into position. All right, let's go ahead and get our glass lined up inside the door here. Carefully slide that down inside. Beautiful. Slide this down inside, and we're going to lower it down into. Going to lower this down into the regulator. Okay, make sure it's fully seated on the front and rear. Let's go ahead and tighten down our bolts on the clamps. All right, let's go ahead and tighten these down. Now holding the assembly on the inside, insert the front, press that in. All right, that's working well. Now what I want to do is take the back section here, I'm going to slide that over, line that up with the screw. I'm going to go ahead and tighten up the screw on the inside. Let's go ahead and gently snug that down. All right, at that point there, give the handle a tug. Works perfect. Disconnect your switch. Grab that water shield. We have our little trim button up here. That needs to get installed. I'll line that up. Line that up better. Now with it in its general location, we can go ahead and install our speaker. Snug down our speaker. Once those screws bottom out, snug them down. Now, for any reason, if your adhesive is not working anymore or you tore the plastic, it's okay. Go ahead and use a good tape, a heavy duty tape to go ahead and seal it up, and you should be fine. Install the little rubber plug here. Now we're at the point we want to go ahead and hang our door panel. Now you want to start by locating our plastic push pins around the perimeter of our door shell. These are the ones that we popped off earlier. If any of them are missing, you want to go ahead and replace them, pop them back on, get them ready to go. Now as we bring this over, we have two things we need to connect. One is our power door lock switch. And the other is our cable. So you can line that up, get that barrel end in, slide that over, and snap it into place. With these in place, we're going to raise this up. You want to make sure that your door lock rod is in the up position. It's going to help you. Tilt the door panel bottom out, line up that rod here. This can kind of be a pain in the butt. And then slide in the upper half and set it on the sill. Now at this point here, we have our door panel hung. Our plastic push pin should be lining up. Making sure that that door panel is snapped into place. Now we can go ahead and start to line up our screws. I'm going to go ahead and take our large flathead Torx bit screws. One goes here on the inside of the door pull area, and the other one goes up top. Right up here. Gently snug those down. Snug that down. Then we're going to follow up with the two inside the actual pull area here. I'm going to go ahead and put the screw on my Torx bit, feed that in. Do the same here. Run that down, snug it down. Reach down inside and grab the power cord and pull that through the door panel for your switch. You can line up our handle here. Go ahead and take your window switch, line up that connector, pop that on. And we're going to install the front. There's a little tab here that locks in. So install the front first, pushing that down and on. Line it up, and then snap it down. Now on the upper section, we have our little trim panel right here that needs to go in. This piece here has a little notch at the bottom side, kind of curves out. That's the part that goes inward. Simply pull this out, line it up, and push it in. Snaps right into place. Install the sail panel trim cover. If you have the power mirror feature, you want to go ahead and install this here. Take these little plastic tabs and you want to lock them in here. Now we're going to install our 4 screws around the base of the door panel and up around the back. I'm going to start with our leading one here. Snug them down gently. Just repeat this process for the other 3. At this point here, we've secured our last piece of hardware, and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. the only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.